welcome back to another recipe video. Today we're going to make chicken pot pie, and this is a Ricardo recipe, and I've made it many times and we absolutely love it. It tastes so amazing. I have to make it all the time when I can, and we're going to start with the dough. Okay, we're going to start with the pastry, the crust. So the first thing you need to do is get 2 cups of flour. I'm using just general white all-purpose flour because that's what I have in the house. I haven't tried it with other flour, so I can't tell you how it would work. You need half a teaspoon of salt. Okay. Then you're going to put the butter. I have 1 cup of butter that was in the fridge, and it's cut up into little chunks. So we're going to put that in. It's nice and cold. Okay, we're going to close the machine, put the top on, and we're going to pulse it a few times, okay? We want the butter and the flour to look like little granules, small size. Okay, now you can see the texture change. That's what you want. Now you're going to add a 1/4 cup of ice water, so really super cold water. I just got it from my filter tap because I'm actually filming this on February 1st, and it's -30 Celsius right now in Quebec, Canada. You also want to add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to pulse it, and you're going to watch and see it change into dough. And I just keep pulsing it. There we go. You can see it turning in. Now you can see it turning into a good dough. Okay, that's it. Don't overmix. Take it out of your machine. Open the top. Put everything aside. And just dump it out. My blade. Now you want to make this first before doing anything else, because it needs to sit in the fridge for half an hour. So I just mush it a few times, and that is a beautiful dough consistency. Wonderful. It's got lots of butter in it, or margarine, whatever you want to use. I'm using the plant-based margarine one. And I'm going to store it in just a soup dish, okay? I'm going to push it down a little. And I'm going to cover it with just a saucer. Just like that. I don't have aluminum foil or wax paper or parchment paper or cling film or plastic wrap. I don't buy that stuff and haven't bought it for years. This is how I cover stuff in the fridge. So it's going to go in the fridge for 30 minutes, which gives us time to make all the other stuff. Okay guys, now that our dough is in the fridge, where we have to leave it for half an hour, we have our cast iron pan ready to go. And I have here 2 chicken breasts cut up into little cubes. Now if you saw my other chicken stock chicken soup recipe, this is the same chicken that I told you about. Now I want to really season my meat well, so I'm going to be doing some salt, some white pepper, because I really like white pepper. I'm going to be doing some marjoram. I'm trying to use up certain spices so I can get rid of them. Some oregano, and I have a poultry seasoning mix here. that I also want to use up. I really want the meat to be really flavorful. Because chicken, if you think of what I call the 3 Ps, poultry, pasta, and potatoes, those 3 things need flavor. So sometimes it looks like you're putting like a ton of spices and flavor onto them, but because they're by itself kind of bland, they need help. So let's see, I'm gonna put a little more on, a little more poultry seasoning on, and it really gives a good flavor to the chicken pot pie in the end. Alright, so I'm going to leave it alone and let it cook. You don't want any pink, you don't want no raw chicken. Once this is cooked, we're just going to put it in a regular bowl and set it aside because we have to move on to make the filling. Alright guys, the chicken is all done. I'm going to take it out of the pan and just stick it in a soup bowl and put it on the side until we need it. Okay guys, as we continue to advance in our recipe and prepare stuff, you want 1/2 cup of milk and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I'm using oat milk that I make. It's a really easy, simple recipe I can link for you. You just want to mix it together a little bit. Okay, and then leave it alone. You need to set it aside. Then you have 1/4 cup of butter, okay, with 1/4 cup of flour, and you want to mix that together. And this is going to be your roux later on, basically. So I'm just going to mix it together like this, like mush it together. And you need to do all these steps in advance because it'll help you to cook the dish really easier and faster, to be all prepared. So once you have it mixed together enough, that's fine. Just set that aside. Okay guys, so you're stirring in a pot with some melted butter in it, about 1 tablespoon. And we need to soften the onion, carrot, and celery. So I have 1 small diced onion, chopped finely, 1 celery stalk. This is actually celery from my garden, and this is my last celery. I have none left after this. 1 carrot. So for the celery, I need to grow more celery next year. And we want to soften those vegetables in the butter. Get them going. Give them a nice coating in the butter. Okay, now I want to add some salt and pepper. Let's see. There we go. Okay, it's time to add the potatoes. Then you want to add your chicken broth. Now, it's important that this is condensed chicken broth, okay? It's 1 can, and the can is 284 milliliters, what I use. You know, give it a stir. Make sure the potatoes are pushed down. You want to bring it to a boil, okay? And you want to, once it gets to a nice rolling boil, you want to turn it down and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. You're cooking the potatoes and the carrots basically. And you want to cover it. Okay guys, it's been about 10 minutes. And, ooh, I steamed you up. And everything's ready. So the first thing you want to do is add your butter and flour mixture. This is your roux, what's going to make a roux. Put it all in. Just scrape it all off as much as you can. I usually actually grab some of the liquid and use that to get it all off. Now that the potatoes and the carrots and everything are nice and soft, you're going to stir in this roux, and you want to bring it to a little boil. Not a crazy boil, but a boil nonetheless, because you need to cook this. Flour is raw, so you need to cook it. So that's going to get nice and thick. Alright, we've got a little boil going on, so that's great. We don't want it to let it burn, that's for sure. Okay, we also want to add our milk and cornstarch mixture, if you remember. Just give it a swirl to get the cornstarch unstuck from the bottom, and pour that in as well. Now if some stuck like mine did, I just grab some hot and scrape it off. Okay, stir that in. Again, you want a little boil going, not a crazy boil. Now you can add more salt and pepper if you want, or any spices you want. It's up to you. It's up to you what you like your flavor to be, really. So that is looking really good, actually. Quite happy with that. There, see? Boiling a little. Now your chicken was standing by that you cooked before. Dump your chicken in. Give it a stir, or stir and fold. Fold it in, whatever you want to do. Just get it in there somehow. Okay, we're looking good. We're looking good. The only thing left we have to do is to add our green peas. So I put my green peas in a cup. It was half a cup of green peas. And we'll throw those in and mix those together as well. Any green peas will be fine. The recipe calls for frozen green peas, but I never use them. I use just canned green peas. I'm going to turn my heat off. And that is the filling for your chicken pot pie. It's done. So there you go. Now, get your dough out of the fridge, and we need to make the crust. Okay, so I took my dough out of the fridge, and it looks fine. I'm just going to take it out of the bowl. Get stuck a little. Alright, grab some flour. Flour your counter. Now, we want half of this, because we need to make a top and a bottom, right? So I'm just going to cut it right in half. Set this aside and start with this one. So I'm just going to mush it a little. Feels good, has a nice consistency of it. You can smell a little bit of the vinegar that was in the dough. And I'm going to roll it out, and I want it to fit in my dish I have here. I have a Wilton, it's actually just a cake pan, but I use this all the time for the chicken pot pie. And it says it measures 9 by 1.5 inches. And it's a great little dish to have. I use it for the pot pies, cakes, whatever you want to cook, really. Works fine. So you just want to roll it out to fit on the top of that. And don't worry about it being perfectly round and perfect looking, you know. Doesn't have to be. Now, this is a big gap here, so I would just do a patch job there. And just roll it back in. And you'll be fine. Let's see. Now, if you want to test it, you can just do that. So I'm going to fold it in half. Put my pot here, my pen. Put it on top. Open it up. And I'm just going to push it in here. Okay, and everything sticking off of the side, I'm going to pull off with my hands, that's all. Just like that. Okay. So this looks okay. Now if you see anything like this here, right there, you want to make a patch job. And just patch it. So this looks okay. Get your fork. Make some holes. That's so your pastry doesn't puff up too bad. Okay, so the bottom is done. Now you're going to take your pot pie filling and you're going to pour it in. Make sure you get all of it because you don't want to waste any. Because it's so good. It smells so good, it's not even funny. We love this here. If I can get chicken off of the Flash Food app, which is an app I use to get cheap food. Food that's about to expire but not expire yet, and you get it for so less. So I'm just smoothing it out. Okay, there you go. That's fine. At the same time, my oven is preheating 400 degrees. Okay, now let's make the top. For the top, we're going to do the same thing. Going to get some flour. Okay, get your ball of dough that's been sitting, waiting for you. And you're going to roll it out. Because you need a top for your chicken pot pie. And it's going to cook for 50 minutes. 50 on 400. And everything's going to melt together and it's going to cook the pastry and it's going to turn it nice and brown. This is one of the best pastry recipes I found. Very easy to use, very easy to make because your food processor does it. You just need to follow instructions. As long as you follow instructions, you're fine, guys. You know, I think most people can cook if they just try. Oh, see, it broke on me. So I'm gonna try fixing that. That's a bit of a mess, but don't worry about it. It's dough, guys. You can just put it all back together. And you can squish it back up and start over if you want, if you really want to. You know, depends what you want to do. So I think that's okay now. I think that'll cover. Okay, you want to grab it and fold it in half. Okay. Move it over. Here's your pen, your original pen. Put your pastry on top. Fold it over. And do the same thing. I just pull off anything that's hanging over too much. Okay, start with that. Now, I just go in and I make an edge by pinching together the two levels of dough. Okay. Take the extra off if you think it's too much. Depends how you want to do your dough, your crust, how much crust you like. A lot of people don't like a lot of crust, you know, or they just throw out the crust after and they don't even eat it. Now, if you think you have a thin part or a hole, like here, just take a piece and put a patch on it. So that looks pretty good. We have a little bit of a hole over here, I think. Yeah, not the end of the world. It's just cooking. Grab your fork, stab it. This is to release the steam so you don't lose your pastry. And it has to go into an oven 400 degrees for 50 minutes, 50. Okay guys, timer went off. It's been 50 minutes, 50. Take it out of the oven. Oh man, look at that. If you could smell that, guys. Oh my god. Now you can hear it sizzling. It's actually bubbling. It is like liquid lava inside. Now, a word of advice that must be done and respected. Do not cut into it now. Please. It is literally lava. It is bubbling. It is liquid. It has to sit in here for a good 10 minutes. Do not cut it before 10 minutes. It should go to 15 minutes. Okay? Don't worry about it cooling down because it won't. It's so hot. And when you wait your 15 minutes, what happens is everything kind of sets together. Right now it's really liquid and oozy. But if you let it sit, it'll set together. So when you cut it, your pie essentially does not run out like lava or liquid. It's so good. I'm dying to eat it. I'm starving. I'm doing this video. It's almost lunchtime. So this is going to be lunch and probably supper and then probably lunch the next day. And I wouldn't be surprised if it makes it to supper again. It depends on how much we get into it. Keep cooking, guys. Take care. I love making videos. I just wish I could share this with you, actually, to be honest. You know, come on over and I'll make you chicken pot pie for everybody. See you next time.